The story begins with a song, and then we see a girl talking to her daddy. She says, "Daddy, you were right, the problem is the oven igniter." Her daddy tells her, "Stop, quit what you're doing and let me look at it." Then the scene shifts. A man arrives whose name is Clyde. Another man says to him, "Owen, hi." Clyde says, "Evening, Owen." Owen tells him, "We just closed," but Clyde says, "I know, it was a small business call." Clyde tells Owen that a parcel is coming tomorrow and Owen needs to be at the brewery at the usual time. Owen says, "We'll be there." Clyde says, "Spread the word." Now Clyde speaks directly to Lena, and his manner is aggressive. He says, "Lena, I know your heart isn't in all this. It makes you feel dirty and ashamed. So if you want to skip your civil duties tomorrow, I'll give you a free pass, take you to my place, nice dinner, then spend time together." Lena tells him, "Slow down, boy." But Clyde says, "You and I will be together, whether you want it or not." Then Owen's voice comes. "Clyde," Owen says firmly, "get your hands off my daughter." Clyde pauses and says, "Owen, I was being disrespectful, my apologies." Then he says, "You know me, sometimes I cross the line, I should be disciplined." There's a veiled threat in his tone. After Clyde leaves, Lena asks worriedly, "Daddy, are you okay?" Owen says, "I shouldn't have done that." Then they both leave. Then his daughter talks to someone in private. She says, "Brian, you said you'd send an angel. If there was ever a time, it's now." Brian is someone close whom the daughter remembers. It's a plea for help. Now the scene cuts and a new person appears. One man says afternoon to another. This new man explains that he's traveling on foot, he's hungry, he's low on money, but he's handy. He can earn food in exchange for work. The shopkeeper Vernon notices that he's a veteran and says the food is free. But this man says, "No, I'd rather work for my food." Vernon says, "I've got a broken shelf, my eyes are weak." The deal is made. Vernon asks, "Are you passing through?" He says, "Yes." Vernon says, "That's the right call, it's not safe here for outsiders, go north or south. Don't stay here, trust me." Then Sheriff Wiley shows up and asks, "Who is this?" Vernon says he's just passing through. The sheriff tells the man directly, "We don't like outsiders here, finish your food and get out of Rondo." But the man asks, "Sheriff, am I breaking any law?" The sheriff threatens that he can get inventive. The sheriff notices he's a special forces veteran but says, "Being a war veteran won't get you any special treatment." Then he pays his tab and says, "Safe travels." Then a tense scene. A man is in a hurry. Randall is being taken away by force. Someone says Jeremiah wants to talk to you. A woman asks, "What are you going to do with my husband?" He's put into a car and the others are sent off to work. Our mysterious man goes to a place and asks for a room. At first he's refused. They're full. But he asks again and gets a room for $20. He says, "Keep it. I'll be back." Now meet Jeremiah Whitfield, the real villain of this story. Randall is brought before Jeremiah. Jeremiah asks, "What did you do?" He explains that the Attorney General was getting unsettling news about their activities. Randall admits that yes, he made the call, but his wife Vivian was very scared. Jeremiah says behind every great man there's a woman soaked in blood. The actions were yours. Randall apologizes, but Jeremiah asks him, "Are you right-handed or left?" Then he does something that will make Randall remember this day. Now our stranger comes to Owen's saloon. He explains that he's passing through, wants to stay one night. He's low on money but can do odd jobs. Owen asks, "Where are you headed?" He says nowhere in particular. Owen smiles and says, "Nomada," meaning nomad. Owen shares that his son-in-law was a special forces sergeant, went into combat. Then he asks, "Do you know anything about oven igniters?" He says yes. Owen says, "Fix it and I'll put you up for a day." The deal is made and Owen gives his name, Owen Hayes. Lena comes in and Owen introduces her. "This is my daughter, Lena." But then he realizes he never asked the man's name. The man says, "What did you call me?" Owen says, "Nomada." From now on, he is Nomada. Lena just says hi. Lena privately asks Owen, "What are you doing?" Owen says he's in need and so are we. If the oven gets fixed, I'll keep him for one day. Lena says we don't know anything about him. He could be dangerous. Owen says he's not. At the first sign, he's out. Lena says this is a bad idea. Owen says, "Let me handle it. If you don't feel safe, then stay away." Nomada fixes the oven. Clyde comes back, sees Nomada. "Who is this?" Owen explains. Clyde says, "What kind of name is that?" Owen explains. "He's just passing through, helping out. Not much gets done in a wheelchair. He fixed the oven." Clyde says just today, then he has to go. Clyde calls Lena for a drink. Lena, I don't like being told no. It hurts my feelings. A clear threat. At night, Nomada eats with Owen. Nomada asks, who were those people that came today? Owen tells him, Whitfield's goons. Jeremiah Whitfield owns this town and everyone in it. Clyde is Jeremiah's son. Nomada asks, he's the one taking an interest in Lena? Lena says the feeling is not mutual. This has been going on for a while. I can take care of myself. Owen says it doesn't feel good here, doesn't feel safe. Nomada asks, then why not leave? Owen says because we can't. Owen's daughter gives Nomada his wages and says he does good work. But she says our situation is precarious. Your being here is making things worse. Don't come back. Nomada understands. But Nomada doesn't leave. He pays $20 and takes a room. At night, Nomada has old memories. Someone talks about an ambush. It's connected to his past. The next day, Owen tells Lena the place is falling apart. I just need one more day. Lena says it's a mistake. Remember what happened with Randall? Owen says I'm willing to take the risk. Owen is happy seeing Nomada's work. Can you stay a couple more days? Nomada agrees. Lena asks him directly, why did you stay? Nomada says your father is a good man. I'll leave soon. Clyde comes again, angry. He's still here? Owen explains, but Clyde talks about a direct order, calls Owen old man. Then he gives Nomada an ultimatum to get out in 5 minutes. Lena stops Clyde. Just one more day. Clyde refuses, and then he grabs Lena. You're hurting me. Lena screams. And that's when Nomada goes into action. He tells Clyde's men, put your weapons on the table, now, right now. Turn around and get out. Clyde says angrily, you're done. You won't live through today. Do you know who I am? After everything calms down, Owen tells Nomada the real truth. People consolidate cocaine, weigh it, package it. In return, they get their necessities, the price of keeping quiet. Nomada asks, why can't you leave? Owen says the Whitfields have a network across the whole country. They'll find you and kill you. It's happened before. We know too much. Owen tells him that after his wife passed, he tried to get Lena out. The result is this wheelchair. After Brian's death, Lena came back. The sheriff is in on it too. Owen says what you started, something very bad is about to happen. Nomada says, put these guns in a safe. Clyde goes to Jeremiah. A stranger took our guns and beat 3 men by himself. Jeremiah says the sheriff will handle it. Meanwhile, Nomada makes a phone call. He calls an old friend who doesn't recognize his voice. Nomada says, I'm a ghost from your past. The man on the other end is shocked. I was at your funeral, we can't be talking. Nomada says, but we are. He tells him he's in Rondo and big trouble is coming, so he needs to call in his marker. The other man says anything, just say it. Then the sheriff shows up. He says angrily, what is going on here? Is this a town meeting? Lena quickly says we're planning Daddy's birthday party. The sheriff says there will be no gathering. Bring that man out. I'm arresting him. Assault and battery. Owen says Clyde hit my daughter. The sheriff yells, shut up, Owen. I'll arrest both of you for harboring him. Nomada comes forward and says, Sheriff, I was going downstairs to make a call. What call? To Colonel Jack Hollister, U.S. Army Special Forces Command. If I tell him about this town's illegal activities, federal agents will be here within 24 hours and national media too. Sheriff might spend the rest of his life in a federal jail. But there's an option. I'll make the call and say nothing, drink a coffee, and leave. It's the sheriff's decision. The sheriff thinks about it and walks away. The sheriff tells Jeremiah that the man threatened to notify the authorities, named Colonel Jack Hollister. Jeremiah says we'll handle it. The sheriff also tells him that half the town's people were with him. Jeremiah tells his man, call Luis immediately. Someone asks, what if Hollister shows up? Jeremiah says impossible. Jack Hollister died many years ago. Lena comes to Nomada at night. She says this is a town of fallen souls. Nomada says everyone deserves a second chance. Lena asks, why do you care? Nomada says I won't be able to forgive myself if I don't. Not this time. Lena says my daddy and I are not safe. I want you to stay. Nomada agrees. Lena offers a spare room, but Nomada says I'm fine here. Just need a ride in the morning. 50 miles north. I have to pick up a package. The daughter says at night, Brian, if Nomada is the answer to your prayer, then what kind of angel did you send? The next day, Lena and Nomada are in the car. She shows him Whitfield Manor, the biggest cocaine distributor, connected with the Mexican cartel and corrupt politicians. She says may Jeremiah burn in hell. He picks up a package. Lena says, I'm scared to ask. Nomada says, tools of the trade. On the way back, someone follows them. Nomada says, speed up, faster, go. An intense chase happens. Nomada gives directions, reverse, let go of the steering toward that silo. Nomada fights the attackers. He sends Lena to a safe spot, gives her a gun, keep it down, finger off the trigger. If you hear firing, then use it. After it's all over, Nomada says, are you okay? Let's get out of here. He says, go back and pack your things, leave town, more will come. Lena asks, where will we go? But when they get back, Clyde springs a surprise. He's already there with his men. He says, Nomada, I underestimated you. Taking out 2 pros by yourself is for an old man. Clyde attacks Nomada. Lena screams, stop. Clyde's men grab Lena. Clyde sees the weapons bag. That's quite an arsenal. Let the war begin. He takes everything. Clyde tells Lena, you betrayed me and the family, you crossed the line. Something special is planned for Nomada. Zeke tries to stop Clyde. Jeremiah's orders? But Clyde threatens him and Zeke backs off. Clyde takes Lena away. Owen screams, Lena? But nothing can be done. Clyde tells Lena, you will be obedient, you will be respectful, you will do whatever I want. In return, you'll get comfort, and in time, family. This is your life now. Nomada had been tied up and taken away, but when they check, he's gone. Where did he go? Damn it. Clyde brings Lena to Jeremiah. Jeremiah asks, why is she here? Clyde says, I want to keep her. Jeremiah asks Lena, are you okay? Silence. Jeremiah says, this doesn't look promising. Clyde says she'll come around. Jeremiah says, are you going to keep her tied up? It's been a long day. Take her to the brewery. We'll talk in the morning. The sheriff comes to Zeke. That man is in my car. He was supposed to be dead. Zeke says, that's what you thought. The sheriff says, there are bodies in the saloon. I need an explanation. Zeke says, know your place. This is business. Then he says, clean it up. But Nomada hasn't stopped. He reaches Lena and asks, did he hurt you? Lena asks about Daddy. Nomada says, let's finish this. Then a funeral scene. A prayer is said. May he find a place in paradise where there is no sorrow, no weeping, no pain, with peace and joy forever and ever. At the end of the story, Lena asks, which way should we go? Nomada says, which way will you go? As far as anyone knows, you don't exist. You're free. You can start a new life. Lena turns back while leaving and says, Nomada, God is with you. And Nomada walks away alone on his path, a poor wayfaring stranger passing through this world. So friends, that was the story of Hellfire. A man who was nobody in the eyes of the world, an old man, a nomad. But when he saw the people of a small town suffering under tyranny, he didn't stay silent. He didn't care about his own life and stood up for the people that nobody claimed as their own. This story teaches us that sometimes one person's courage can change the whole world. The question is, can you be that person?